Here's a truth most men never hear. Women don't choose intimacy for the reasons you think. And once you see what truly drives their choices, your entire view of relationships will shift forever. Welcome to Stoic. If you want to grow through timeless Stoic wisdom, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and join a community of men becoming unshakable. Here's a truth most men never hear. Women don't sleep with men for the reasons you think. It's not always about looks, status, or even money. The real reasons are hidden. Once you understand them, everything about your relationships will change. Think about it. Maybe you've been with a woman who seemed attracted one moment, then cold the next. Or you've wondered why she chose a man who didn't seem better looking or more successful than you. Most men chalk it up to women being confusing, but that's just an excuse. The reality is that women are driven by powerful motives that go far beyond what's on the surface. And here's the key. These motives aren't random. They are rooted in instinct, perception, and emotional wiring. Once you learn to recognize them, you stop guessing and start leading. You'll know why she responds the way she does, why attraction spikes or fades, and how to build something deeper than just chemistry. This isn't about tricks, it's about clarity. Understanding these hidden reasons will keep you from wasting years chasing the wrong signals, and instead help you build connections that actually last. By the end of this, you'll know exactly what pulls women into intimacy and how to align yourself with it. Number 1. Physical desire. Isn't the whole story? Most men grow up believing one simple story. Women sleep with men because they are physically attracted. She likes his looks, his build, maybe his style. That's it. But here's the reality. Physical desire is only one piece of the puzzle, and it's not even the biggest one. If you think it's the whole story, you'll miss the deeper forces that truly drive intimacy. I've seen this play out many times. A man assumes the key is hitting the gym harder, dressing sharper, presenting himself as more youthful. But attraction doesn't build just because of appearance. What really shifts the dynamic is presence, calmness, humor, the ability to listen without judgment. What sets one man apart is not his face or his body, but the way he carries himself. From my practice of Stoicism, I've learned that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Applied here, it means what you cultivate inside is exactly what you project outside. If you are anxious, needy, or desperate, she will feel it even if you look the part. If you are grounded, calm, and confident, that energy amplifies whatever physical attraction may already exist. This is the truth. Physical desire is real, but fragile. It can fade quickly if it isn't supported by emotional safety, connection, or the excitement of novelty. When you understand this, you stop obsessing over what you look like and start focusing on what you radiate. Your presence, your calmness, your ability to lead, these are just as seductive as any six-pack. So the next time you think attraction is only about looks, remember, that's just the spark. The flame needs fuel, and the fuel comes from more than your body. Number 2. Emotional safety unlocks intimacy. Here's something most men overlook. For a woman, real intimacy doesn't start in the bedroom. It starts in her mind and emotions. If she doesn't feel emotionally safe with you, everything else shuts down. You can be handsome, wealthy, or charming, but if she feels tension, judgment, or pressure, her desire fades quickly. Emotional safety means she can be herself without fear of criticism or rejection. It means she knows that when she shares her thoughts, her vulnerabilities, or even her insecurities, you won't use them against her. This is the foundation that allows desire to grow naturally instead of being forced. Many men approach intimacy like a transaction. They assume that if they do something nice, show enough interest, or create the right setting, she should respond physically. But women don't operate on that logic. For them, the emotional tone sets the stage. If she feels safe, respected, and valued, her body follows. If she doesn't, she shuts down. In my reflections on Stoicism, I've learned this. We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality. For women, this is especially true in relationships. Her imagination, her sense of whether she'll be safe, cared for, or exposed, can either unlock her desire or kill it instantly. When you provide calmness, consistency, and emotional stability, you quiet that fear. This is why arguments, insecurity, or constant pressure backfire so badly. A woman may still love you, but if she doesn't feel safe, she will withdraw. If she doesn't feel safe, she'll withdraw. On the other hand, when she feels that she can trust you, when she knows you won't explode in anger or drown her in neediness, intimacy flows almost effortlessly. It's important to understand that emotional safety doesn't mean weakness. It doesn't mean being overly soft or submissive. In fact, it's the opposite. Emotional safety comes from strength. The strength to control your reactions, to remain calm when things get tense, and to lead with steadiness. A man who loses his temper, or who constantly doubts himself, makes a woman feel unstable. But a man who can remain centered gives her the security she craves. This is why women often say they want a man who makes them feel safe. They're not only talking about physical protection, they're talking about emotional steadiness. They want to know that when life gets messy, you won't fall apart. They want to know that your frame isn't fragile, and when they sense that strength, intimacy becomes natural. So here's the takeaway. If you want a woman to truly open up to you, focus less on what you can get and more on the environment you create. Speak less, listen more. Don't rush her emotions, don't push her pace. Let her see that her feelings are safe in your presence. That's when she begins to connect deeply. The surprising part is this. Once emotional safety is established, her physical desire often rises. When the mind is at ease, the body follows. It's not manipulation, it's human nature. So ask yourself, are you creating a space where she feels safe, or are you letting impatience sabotage intimacy? If you've ever realized the power of emotional safety, you can affirm it with the words, "I protect her peace." Here's the truth. Once you understand that intimacy begins with emotional safety, you'll see how connection itself becomes the glue in a relationship. Because when safety is present, connection doesn't just happen, it deepens. Number 3, connection strengthens through touch. When it comes to relationships, many men underestimate just how powerful touch really is. They think it's only about sex. But for women, physical contact goes far beyond the bedroom. Touch communicates safety, closeness, reassurance, and love in a way words often can't. If you understand this, you stop seeing intimacy as just an act and start seeing it as a language. I've seen couples drift apart, not because love was gone, but because touch disappeared. Small gestures that once came naturally, holding hands, hugging, a hand on the back, quietly faded, and with them, so did the spark. Women often see touch as a signal of closeness. A hand across the table, an arm around her shoulder, brushing against her hand. These little actions tell her she's valued and desired. When touch is consistent, it reinforces emotional safety and keeps intimacy alive. When it disappears, she starts to feel taken for granted. From my own Stoic reflections, I've learned this. Presence is often felt more than spoken, and touch is one of the purest forms of presence. It's not about intensity, it's about consistency. For women, those small gestures mean more than men often realize. The lesson is simple. Intimacy often begins outside the bedroom. If closeness is absent all day, expecting passion at night is unrealistic. Touch doesn't have to be grand or dramatic. It just has to be genuine. A gentle kiss on the forehead, a squeeze of her hand, resting your hand on her knee while sitting together. These little actions carry more weight than men imagine. So ask yourself, are you using touch as a way to build connection, or have you let it slip into the background? If you understand that touch is more than physical, you can affirm it with, "I build connection." And remember, once you master the power of touch, you'll see how connection itself transforms. Number 4, social pressure shapes her choices. Here's something many men forget. Not every time a woman chooses intimacy comes from genuine desire. Sometimes it's about the weight of social pressure. Society has spoken and unspoken rules that shape her decisions. Family expectations, cultural norms, friends' opinions, and even silent judgment from others influence her more than you realize. A woman might feel the need to appear normal within her circle of friends. If her group is more adventurous, she may go along just to fit in, even if she isn't fully comfortable. Or if she's been taught that intimacy equals proof of commitment, she may cross lines earlier than she naturally would. It's not always about her attraction to the man. It's about the invisible weight pressing on her from the outside. From my own practice of Stoicism, I've reflected deeply on this. Freedom lies in focusing only on what is in our control. But women, like men, are often raised within systems of expectation. They're told what's acceptable, what's shameful, and what gives them value. Sometimes those voices run so deep that they forget to ask what they truly want. This is why you'll see situations where a woman chooses intimacy, not from desire, but to avoid conflict. She may fear being judged as cold or unloving. She may feel she has to keep pace with others or live up to her partner's demands just so she doesn't appear difficult. That isn't passion. It's pressure. And here's where many men misread the signal. They think, she said yes, so she must have wanted it. But desire born from pressure is not the same as desire born from freedom. It often leaves her feeling detached or resentful afterward, which eventually harms the relationship. What looked like closeness can actually create distance. The Stoic lesson is clear. Genuine intimacy cannot come from force, expectation, or pressure, only from choice. So the question is, are you creating an environment where she chooses freely, or is she responding out of pressure? Not every choice comes from passion. Sometimes what looks like closeness is only pressure. And here's where most men misread the signals. They think, she said yes, so she must want it. But desire born from pressure isn't the same as genuine intimacy. It often leaves her feeling detached or resentful afterward, which eventually harms the relationship. What looked like connection can actually create distance. Understanding this is crucial. If you value long-term connection, you must pay attention to whether her choices come from authentic desire or social influence. Is she doing this because she truly wants to, or because she feels she has to? The difference determines whether the connection deepens or erodes. The lesson here isn't to criticize women for being influenced. Men are influenced too, by peers, by culture, by unspoken rules. The difference is that men often underestimate how strongly those forces shape women's intimate choices. When you recognize this, you stop misreading compliance as attraction. You begin looking deeper. So what is the role of the Stoic man in all this? It's simple. Be the steady frame that does not pressure her. When you show her she doesn't need to perform or meet anyone else's expectations, you give her space to act from genuine desire. That's when intimacy becomes real, not forced. This awareness will save you from countless frustrations. You'll stop wondering why she pulled away after a night that should have brought you closer. You'll see that without true choice, there can be no true intimacy. So ask yourself, are you creating an environment where she chooses you freely, or is she responding out of pressure? Once you understand how pressure shapes her choices, you'll realize that genuine connection requires more than just removing outside influence. It requires tapping into something deeper, something that fuels desire on its own. Number 5. Curiosity and novelty. Fuel attraction. Here's a truth about attraction most men underestimate. Women are deeply wired to respond to curiosity and novelty. It's not that they're fickle. It's that the human mind, especially in matters of intimacy, lights up when something feels new, unpredictable, or slightly mysterious. That rush of emotion creates excitement, and excitement often translates into attraction. I've observed this many times. When routine becomes predictable, her energy dulls. But when a man introduces something fresh, a spontaneous plan, a new idea, a small surprise, her interest sharpens. She leans in more. She feels more alive. It's not about grand gestures. It's about avoiding monotony. Even the best song grows dull if played on repeat every day. Add a new rhythm, a different arrangement, and suddenly it feels exciting again. Relationships work the same way. Women don't crave chaos, but they do crave movement, curiosity, and the unexpected. Here's the catch. Novelty must come from authenticity. If you fake interest just to impress her, she will sense it. But if you are genuinely curious about life, if you embrace new experiences, explore and grow, she feels that energy and wants to share it. This is what keeps intimacy alive. Not expensive gifts, not endless effort, but freshness paired with presence. The mistake many men make is falling into predictability too quickly. They think stability means repeating the same gestures endlessly. But stability does not mean boredom. You can be solid in your values while still being playful and creative in how you live. That balance, strength and novelty together, is what women find magnetic. So here's the takeaway. If you want to fuel attraction, don't just rely on what you already know. Explore, expand, invite her into that journey. Let her feel that being with you is not only safe, but also exciting. Novelty keeps her engaged, but stability anchors her long-term desire. Put those together, and you become unforgettable. Number 6. Stability makes her body respond. One of the most overlooked truths about attraction is this. Stability is deeply attractive. Not the flashy kind of attraction that grabs attention for a moment, but the grounding presence that makes a woman's body relax and respond to you almost unconsciously. When a man is stable emotionally, mentally, and in how he lives, he radiates something that cannot be ignored: safety. And safety is the foundation of intimacy. Without it, she stays guarded. With it, her body naturally opens up. Desire rises, connection flows. Think about it. A woman who feels like she's walking on eggshells, worried about your moods, your finances, or your ability to handle life, will never fully let go with you. She may spend time with you, but she will not surrender to deeper intimacy. Her nervous system is too busy scanning for threats. But when you are steady, calm under pressure, consistent in your actions, reliable in your presence, her body feels free. That's when intimacy becomes effortless. From my experience with Stoicism, I've learned this: you have power over your mind, not over external events. True strength comes from mastering your inner world. For a woman, your ability to remain grounded is the signal that tells her whether she can trust you with hers. If you are ruled by anger, jealousy, or fear, she feels unstable in your presence. But if you are calm, disciplined, and centered, she instinctively leans in. Stability doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean never showing emotion. It means you do not collapse under pressure. You do not make her feel she has to carry the weight of your life. She sees you can handle your world, and that allows her to relax into hers. Here's the truth: when a woman's body feels safe, desire naturally increases. It's not manipulation, it's nature. This is why women often describe the most attractive men not just as handsome, but as solid. She may not use the word stability, but that is what she means. Now compare that with instability: a man who explodes in anger, who doubts himself constantly, who lives in chaos. He may spark temporary excitement, but he won't hold her. Over time, her attraction fades because she cannot fully trust him. The irony is that many men chase women with big gestures, money, or attention, but neglect the very thing that matters most: stability. You don't need to impress her with fireworks if you can offer her calm skies. The key is to live with order. Cultivate discipline, manage your emotions, take care of your responsibilities. When you do this, you send a silent but powerful message: I am stable. You are safe here. That message is more attractive than any line or expensive date. So ask yourself honestly, when she looks at you, does she see a man who is grounded or a man who is easily shaken? Stability builds trust, but trust alone isn't enough. To keep her attention, you must also awaken her emotions in ways she cannot ignore.